even just like in how like this content saturation thing, right? Where it's like, okay, producer makes a track with a rapper, puts it online, I consume it, and then what happens? It gets lost in another track like that happens, another track. So I'm desensitized now as a listener. Music is almost like disposable and cheap when there's just a roundup of your 10 best whatever, and it's just like you're flipping through it. There's like something about in the age of social media that just does something to you like psychologically on how you consume music. Music is meant to be felt, and it's very difficult to just like feel something in the swarm of social media.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Shik, Shak, Shook Ones. We out here, we outside. Well, no, we're inside recording, but still, we're outside in other spaces. Anyways, Dina, what's going on, fam?
It's really funny because in this moment I was going to introduce the podcast, and last second I was just like, Danny, you do it, because I will never be able to pull that off. As long as I live, I will never be able to be like, yo, it's Shik, Shak, Shook Ones. But
you can do it. Why?
I tried.
You embody that, then you have this like excitement and like fervor and passion that just runs through you, kidda. It's crazy. I'm nothing.
Wallahi, I'm excited, but the thing is, my accent destroys the excitement. It makes me sound like, I think, posh.
I mean, we are a posh pod. You know what I'm saying?
Posh pod. We're a posh pod, and we're also on the season finale of our pod. I can't believe this is our final episode of the season. It feels like we've been...
This is the last episode?
This is the last episode, and this voice that you're hearing, the third voice, it's a proper treat for you because we've saved an awesome guest to end the season on, haven't we, Danny?
Yes, we have. I am so excited, and Dina, I know, is also so excited to have with us for our season finale, Menna Shanab, the illustrious journalist for Young MENA magazine, and truly just one of the realest writers, reporters, journalists, people covering the music scene, talking about the music industry. Like literally it's Menna and like 3 other people, and Dina and I are 2 of the other ones. So it's like, no, I'm playing, but I'm not. So Menna,
hey,
what's going on?
I'm in Philadelphia. Your girl's out of Cairo. Taking a break.
Where'd you get your cheesesteak? Where'd you get your cheesesteak, Menna?
Honestly, my mom makes them at home. I don't go out and eat food like that.
There we go.
To be honest, my mom.
We have cheesesteak at home.
We have cheesesteak at home, and it's halal.
There you go. Halal cheesesteak.
Halal cheesesteak.
You heard it here first.
Menna, for those who might not have come across you before, can you tell us a bit about yourself? Like how you even got involved in the music industry, why you're here, why you're doing what you're doing? Because as much as you are a journalist, you're also a creative and singer yourself. So we need to touch on that. So what's your story?
My story. Okay. I mean, so I am Egyptian American, whatever hyphenated label you want to put on that. I was born and raised in the United States of America, and I moved to Egypt in 2019 by myself, left my family, everything. And I've been living in Egypt for the last 6 years alone, and my entire life I've always been surrounded by music. I've always been a party goer, electronic music, underground music, psytrance, everything. Like when I first came to Egypt, the first people I met were just like music organizers and event organizers and things of the sort. I just got into the deep of it right away. And then I've always been a writer. You know, that's always been my thing. Words have been my thing. Words and sounds. So music and writing always just been the 2 things in my life. So I'll tell you. So I've always been surrounded by artists, and there's always been a part of me. I've always been like singing since I was young, you know, going to like talent shows and singing and karaoke at home and writing things. And since I'm a writer, I was always also like a poet. I'd write short stories that I turn into songs and just like come up with melodies and things of the sort. But I never really allowed myself to be an artist or to label myself as a creative or anything of the sort. So I've always kind of kept music at an arm's length to me. And it's almost like my role as a journalist has been like almost living vicariously through other people. I don't know if there's this part kida, but it's like from how much I can just see what people need so much. I know how to tell the stories because I myself too am an artist. You know what I mean? I'm still working on that. There is music that I have It will be released soon. But it's been a journey for me, and seeing also other people's journey along these years has been really inspiring to me. And it's helped me feel like, I don't know, that I can do it too. Seeing people just like break through, and seeing people who I interviewed like years ago who are not confident, not sure what they're doing, versus now where they're just killing it and they know what, you know what I mean? They're more self-assured kidda. So it's been nice for me too, yani.
We're very lucky to have you actually, because as you said, you're like seeing things from above, and you're also seeing things from both sides of the coin, not just like the journalism side, but also the difficulties and the issues that we have or the artists face. Danny and I are really excited to talk to you about an article that you wrote for Young. But before we get on to that, obviously recently the report just dropped that the MENA region, once again, is the fastest growing music region. And we want to weave that in. Danny, I know you have some thoughts on this. So where's everyone at with, once again, us being the fastest growing music region?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. You know what I mean? I've seen the growth and the sheer amount of music that's been coming out and the innovation. And just like we have hit that era over the past few years of first to do X, Y, and Z, first Arab to do this, first whatever to do that, first. We've done so many firsts. We've laid so much groundwork, so much infrastructure that now is the time. Really, we have space to innovate. We have space to grow now. We have an infrastructure that's built that can actually support artists. And so I'm not surprised, Yani. I see there's exponential growth all the time. I mean, we have, right, from like, say, like 2017, 2018, 2019, when we had these rap battles in Egypt and Alexandria and Cairo and Tantan, whatever. And then now we have these people who emerged from these rap battles are now like the superstars and like the almost gatekeepers of like the hip hop industry. They're like massive, right? They're going global, right? They've hit whatever ceiling that was here in the region, they hit it and they surpassed it. And so now that kind of like almost like, you know, creates more space for more artists now to do the same thing, to follow that. Like the path itself has been paved and now more people are walking it and are doing different things in this path. And that's why it's going to keep flourishing and growing. So I'm not surprised that we are, again, the fastest growing music industry. Yeah, and the potential that we have to go global, we're already seeing that, you know, Too Late and whoever, yani, we're there. Yani, if I'm not surprised, and I just think we need to make sure that we capitalize on this and that it's fair what we're doing, and that right now when we have all this infrastructure and all this money, can you make a sustainable career out of music or not? For artists who are independent, who don't have a big label backing, can you do that or not? And that's the litmus test to if we're actually successful or not. You know, that's what I think.
I think that's my biggest thing. Go ahead, Dina. Sorry.
I was just going to say, just before you jump in, because I think, you know, sometimes when you hear, oh, we're the fastest growing region again, numbers aren't really there. I just wanted to add one stat to make it like super clear to people. The revenue in the MENA grew by almost 23%, outpacing even other high growth markets such as Latin America and Sub-Saharan Africa, which is obviously according to the IFPI Global Music Report of 2025. So 23%, that's not a shy number. I just wanted to make that clear because sometimes I think you see the part that it's massive, but you don't actually see the number. But Danny, please feel free to weigh in.
I mean, my biggest question about this report is, okay, cool, we're growing, but is it strategic growth or is it just growing for the sake of growing? Like, how big is this bubble going to get before it bursts if we're not actually thinking about how we're investing in that growth, how we're investing the 23% back into artists, producers, songwriters, other creatives, whatever? Like, who is making that 23%? Right? Like, that's always been my biggest question is it the labels? Is it people that already just are making a ton of money as it is? Like, you know, every day there's like, you know, 20, 25 new artists coming out of Egypt or whatever. And it's like, that's great. I love that everyone wants to keep trying different things and wants to pursue it. The problem that we keep facing is we get new artists and then they fizzle out very quickly. So what kind of growth is that if we're not helping invest in their development? You know, like, you know, Menna, you've talked about Too Late.
Yeah.
I'm worried personally that like he's got the world in the palm of his hands right now. Like everyone is pretty much paying attention to what he did because of that, his most recent album. Is that going to be sustainable? Like, are we going to, or is he going to fizzle out? Like we've had that happen with a bunch of other artists where like they get so hot and then all of a sudden it's like, that's it, they're gone, or we've stopped listening to them, or they've just stopped making music, or they are not able to make music because they're not making enough money off of it. So I have a lot of questions when it comes to this report, right? And like what we're doing, because it's like, you know, I would love to see another Marwan Musa. I don't want to see 10 other rappers come up and sound exactly like him, right? Like I want artists to follow a similar path, whatever, get successful. But I don't want artists to I don't want us to grow if we're all going to sound like copycat Travis Scott stuff. You know, like it makes no sense. And something that you touched on, Minna, too, is the first. Man, like I can sit here and make a stat right now that we're the first podcast with a Lebanese man and 2 Egyptian women to record an episode. Like we're the first. There we go. Does that count as anything? Is that really growth? Like what does that then mean? And something that you talked about in your article, Minna, of like we need to move past that. We're way past this. Like we want something that's grounded more in authenticity and realness. I wonder if you can touch upon that a little bit more here with us in this conversation of just like, what is it that you think people are looking for in that sense? Like, what is that realness? What does that authenticity look like from your vantage point?
I mean, yeah, I mean, so like if we zoom out a bit and just look at how things have been, right? For us to have this like mobility, right? Like for us to have grown so quickly, what did we need? We needed music that was made fast, that could be easily promoted, you know, where it's like, okay, producer, I'm a producer, I have a beat, let's here lay down a verse, let's go send it to another person, no, campaign, let's go. Over and over, electronic music is like this as well. Quick, fast, consumable, easy to translate on social media, right? And so it's not that like, you know, hip hop and it's not like they're not honing their crafts. It's not like they're not being creative. It's not like that. But what it does is when you just are quickly thinking about the trend and the formula and how to make it hit, how to make it work for the algorithm, right? You lose something in that. No matter how innovative and creative you are, there's always a part of you that is compromising for the sake of the algorithm, for the sake of what is the trending sound that's going to, you know, what's the next thing that's going to pop. So you end up making a lot of music that is easily just quickly like just consumed, made to be consumed. It's not timeless, right? If it's something is for the trend, it is not a timeless thing. So it doesn't stay. So you have this saturation all the time of music, but nothing really just like hits. You know, it might like, oh, like that's a banger. Oh, maybe he did something a little different. But khalas, yani at some point it's just like, my likes are just like random songs that I don't go back to it and listen to it again, right? So there's just something that gets lost in this like, I don't know, like even just like in how like this content saturation thing, right? Where it's like, okay, producer makes a track with a rapper, puts it online, I consume it, and then what happens? It gets lost in another track like that happens, another track. So I'm desensitized now as a listener, right? I'm not desensitized, and music is almost like disposable and cheap, you know, in a way. And so and it makes you like detached from the music in a way. You're almost like detaching when you just see it in such a way, when there's just a roundup of your 10 best whatever, and it's just like you're flipping through it. There's like something about in the age of social media that just does something to you like psychologically on how you consume music. Music is meant to be felt, and it's very difficult to just like feel something in the swarm of social media. And so what I was talking about with bands was this like almost like a step back kind of thing, where it's like, okay, people now, they don't want to just see like the final product of like whatever was made in the studio. We don't see what happened. We don't see the music being made. What we get is the final product, polished product with a campaign, with the visual, whatever, right? We get that, and then we get in the DSPs and we listen to it, and that's it. We don't know. We don't see the craft. We don't see the music being made. We're not a part of that immersive. It's not an immersive experience. It's a very detached kind of like experience, right? As opposed to like the idea of a band. Why do we see that coming back now? Because people crave connection. People want to see music being made in real time. People want to see a human being with an instrument. People want to see harmonization, many people together creating music, not just the final product coming to me in my DSPs and listening to it. No, I want to see it come to life. I want improvisation. I want creativity. I want spontaneity. I don't want the polished, beautiful track that you made in the studio and just send it to me anymore. It doesn't hit me the same way anymore. People crave that now. They crave that connection, that human element. That's why you have, like, over the last year on TikTok, people like are drawn more to like long form content, where it's like, now I want to see like a random guy who works a corporate job making his sandwich in the morning and walking up the stairs and going to his car because I'm disconnected online. That's the same thing is happening with music. And I think bands, I'm not talking just about the actual band itself. I'm talking about what bands symbolize, what they symbolize in music. You have now like just this idea of live instruments. Like I was interviewing Perry about her like last album, right? The Valentine's Day album. She used all live instruments. That was really challenging for her, but there's something in that going back to being authentic, going back to something real, where the pendulum swung too much into the digital realm. Now we just want that human thing. We are humans at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And music is a human thing at the end of the day. And
Shout
so I
out
think
to
that's
Perry, by the way. Big fan. We are fans of the pod of Perry. Sorry.
Love Perry. But yeah, she should be on this.
I know, inshallah, next season. Type question, to play devil's advocate. We are consuming music very differently to others. So of course we're people, and when we're sad, I'm sure we have a playlist. When we're feeling like we want to like party, I'm sure we have our playlist. But we might feel more desensitized than others. Do you think the regular consumer feels the same as us? Do you think everyone is craving more long form, and do you think everyone like cares about music in the way that we do when we are like assessing it and analyzing it?
I mean, when I was saying about like generally on TikTok, this long form content happening, I'm saying this is a trend that I'm seeing even in the normal human and consumer.
Yeah, I'm with that, man. I mean, I wonder too how much of it. I mean, I wonder how much of that feeling of like wanting something more authentic and real is sustainable in a digital world, and like, is that something we're ever going to be able to fight? I'm with you. Like, I don't doubt that that's a trend. It's just more of like a general question. And then the other piece of it is like, we also, like, as a society, have to get out of looking at as music as content. Like, that's us as listeners, and that's artists themselves creating the music. Like, how many times do we see people being like, I have more content, whatever. And then it's like, for us, like, okay, we scroll. It's like more content. If I need to open an app, I just tap, click, boom, everything's there. Content. Like, I talked about this on the last episode, but like, because of Narcy, like I'm back to listening to CDs. Like, I'm buying music. It's like I'm ordering music, or I'm going to a store, sifting through to see what CDs are available. I'm like waiting to listen to it, unwrapping it, putting it in a CD player, physically putting on headphone, whatever. Like, there is an effort now for me to listen to the music. And so in that effort, I feel way more invested in, okay, well, I have to listen to this entire album top to bottom, because I went through all this effort of like trying to engage with it, and now I need to engage with it. And it's like, it's made a world of difference of like, dang, there's a connection here. Now I have a better understanding of like, what was Kendrick Lamar trying to say on GNX that wasn't just like the hit songs that we all hear all the time in like commercials, whatever, parties, there's that kind of thing. Top to bottom, what's he trying to say? Where's the production? Where's the storytelling? Where's the XYZ? That kind of thing.
Danny, I completely get that, and I just want to say something to you. I am the first person to tell you that I'm sick of seeing, and it's more sad than sick, but I'm sick of having to see artists show how they made a beat, show how they made a track, show the part of them performing. Like, you know, when they're constantly trying to promote themselves best because they've worked so hard on a project and people aren't listening, and it's hard. They are content creators now. I back it. I don't think that everyone is able to produce a CD and get it stocked in a store. So I understand what you mean about, and I know you know that, but it's so complicated because social media gives them a platform and it gives them an opportunity to be heard, because not everyone's going to get backed by a label. Not everyone's going to have those huge budgets, but we're tired. Like, I even said to Danny, like, I'm a little bit bored. And it's so horrible to say, because it's not to say that there's no good music. It's more just like, I feel a bit off. I don't feel like as connected.
You're desensitized.
Yeah.
You are desensitized.
Yeah.
You're oversaturated, and
Yeah.
there's oversaturation, and you're desensitized. You're tired of seeing your favorite artist be like, here's how I did this chord progression, here's how I did whatever, here's how you just found your favorite Arab hyper pop whatever thing.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that. We don't.
It was important at the time. Unfortunately, I get it, because it's a copy and
To
paste.
grow.
Yes.
It was important when you're growing.
Bizarre.
We are still growing, but we've reached a point where we don't necessarily need that as much. We should have the resources now, at least to some extent, and the investment for us to not need to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's difficult to say, because I don't think we're going to stop it. We're not going to stop existing in this digital realm. People are not going to stop making content, okay? Like, this is just fact. What we need to look at now is, how can we make this more meaningful? How can we make however that we exist in this digital world more meaningful? And what I was saying with bands and stuff, I don't know, like, even if like, I don't know if like they're performing on content or something, and at least you can see the music come to life online. Like, it's not just like an artist explaining how they made their song. No, you actually see like an artist playing their instrument, them playing together. Even if they're filming this on content, you know, there's a band in Egypt from Zazie called Vimto, and they did this. They succeeded on TikTok and they went viral because of this. I mean, it's cute, it's whatever, but you know what I mean? Like, there's a connection element to it. It's nice seeing music actually come to life in front of you online, not just like the polished thing that comes out in the end. As I said, this is happening now. It's just a trend, as all trends are. I don't know what's gonna come next, but
Vimto, this is so damn Egyptian.
Yeah.
I'm just constantly surrounded by Egyptians, bro.
How blessed are you? How blessed are you? Minna, I want to read a part from your article that stuck with me, because I screenshot this ages ago. I love this part. So in this article that Minna's referring to, where she spoke about like why people are more into bands, and obviously that we don't have anything to prove as a region anymore, there's a part that says, it's not about music, it's about the exhaustion. Oh, I can't even say that. It's about the exhaustion of content culture. Music has been a means to an end, a functional tool for an artist's career, a way to climb, a way to stay visible. For the first time in years, the MENA music industry has nothing left to prove. The groundwork is laid, the industry exists, and the world is paying attention. Do you think that artists feel like they don't have anything to prove?
I think it's different for the individual artists. Yeah. I feel like there's always going to be this need to innovate, and we haven't hit that part where, I mean, what is it? What do we call, like, what are we trying to prove? What are we trying to prove to? It's usually the West.
Exactly.
Right. We're trying to make it global. We're trying to maraf Shik. We're trying to, you know what I mean? And so I think that artists will continue feeling like they need to prove themselves, because they think they need to make it global to be successful. You know, that's almost like always like the marker of success. Global, which global, by the way, is just Europe and the US, but whatever. يعني تمام. It's not actually global.
Exactly.
We don't actually go global. American artists go global. We go global. The West accepts us and sees us as yes, yes, let's come in now and invest here. Let's invest. Yes, they have proved themselves. Let's invest now. This is what I meant by that. That's happening. خلاص. The West has said, yes, Arabs, Middle East, you guys got it. You guys are going to make money. You guys are innovating. Tamam. So we've reached this point now where I'm saying, it's not about them saying like, يعني خلاص, يعني we're going there.
Yeah.
Now I think there's a space more to just like, I don't know, innovate, not necessarily prove themselves, but just like focus on the actual music now for a minute. Like, I feel like that's what's just happening. Like, that's why there's like a lull. There's a lull happening. There's like, we have the greats.
Yeah.
They have the greats who have done so much, but they're just like stagnant, and they're trying to go global, and they're trying to do their regional whatever, and get placements in editorials here and do that, and but you still have like, I don't know, maybe like I see it, especially in Egypt, there's a underground that's rumbling, and they're very like, they don't have numbers, they don't have anything, but they are innovating like crazy. They just like, because they know there's this industry ready right now for them. It's there. Before Marwan Musa and Yusuf and whatever, they didn't have that. They just had to just create, and as they were creating the industry. But now there's like, people that know there's a label that can support them if they make really cool music that can be invested in. You know what I mean? It's not that they have to make music to be like, it's not like that anymore. There is a shift, and it's just taking time, shoya, because there has to be a reconfiguration. You know what I mean?
Totally.
it's never going to be perfect. I don't know if the industry is made to really support artists. I have an article coming up called "The Disappearing Artist Syndrome." I talk about this. Why do artists disappear? And looking really at the industry, does it actually support artists long term? Does it care about the long? Do they play the long game, or is it just consuming our artists and art just consumed for the moment and then discarded for the next big thing? Is it about longevity? Can we actually support legacy artists? Is that a thing that we have? Things of this sort, Yani.
I love that you're looking into that, Minna, because I think about that all the time of just how, even when we're talking about, oh, they don't have the backing of these big labels. Well, some of the big labels give artists these horrible deals of the moment where they're just making the money off of the album right now, but there's no investment in the artist for future projects or future anything. So then all of a sudden it's like, well, what happened to this artist? Where did this person go? They were so hot. Like, what happened? And it's really unfortunate, honestly. It's terrible.
There's this the way that labels see okay, here's like whoever big artist, I'm gonna go ahead and give him a deal for this album and invest in this album, in one album, or in the next 5 singles, I'm gonna invest in this project, I'm gonna make money off of this. What about the actual artists themselves, their career? Why is that not being put into consideration? Why are we just thinking short term? Like, we cannot keep thinking short term. We need to think long term. And we are, like, before, we can say we didn't think about that because we didn't have the infrastructure to think long term. We're thinking about, again, the firsts, how to make the most amazing whatever, It was just like this phase of like unconditional creating where we're just like, so like back in the day where you just like create the coolest thing and the biggest hit, and that's all that mattered for the moment, because there was no like long term thing to think about. It was just about, in this moment, what's the best, most impactful thing that I can do, like a burst, like a sporadic burst of energy. That was just what it was around the region, just burst of energy. But now it's like, no, you have to be strategic. You have different tools now. There's different things you have to think about. An artist cannot just think about the music and make a hit. You no longer can be successful by just making hits. If you think that you just need to replicate your first hit, the hit that was before that, to be successful, you're wrong. Now you have to think about marketing. You got to think about PR. You got to think about your brand image, your identity, the story that you tell, how you utilize social media, your distribution, your deals, your brand deals. You have all these factors now. This is what an industry is. You know what I mean? An industry is giving you all these things to think about now. And so does something get lost when the music along the way? Don't know, question mark. But this is now what people need to think about when they're building a career. Whether that's fortunate or unfortunate, I don't know. But that's how it is right now.
Well, and that's the thing that you were talking about. Well, that's the thing you were talking about before too, Minna, is like, okay, yes, those artists now, because of the pressures of where we are with this industry, it's no longer enough just to make music. You have to be a fashion brand, whatever, and all this sort of stuff. I would argue that in a lot of cases, to your point, the music does then get lost, or at least the quality of the music gets diluted, because if you can just make something trendy and then still tell a story somewhere else, then no one's going to really care about that other thing. It often feels like to me, and I'd be curious what you both think, that even in that storytelling, some of it doesn't feel genuine. Like, you know what I mean? I'll be honest, like some of the storytelling, it's like, I collaborated with this brand because this, or I'm telling this story because this. To me, sometimes it comes across like you threw a bunch of stuff in a chat GPT, asked chat GPT to spit out a PR thing, and like that's what you're running with. And I do think you're right that bands, because like the beauty of a band is that even in music, or even when they record, I should say, there are some songs that are going to be imperfect because bands will ultimately, like one little thing will get messed up. And I think we crave the imperfection of music a lot. I think that's why like there's such a desire again to do live performances. Like I appreciate those artists who, even if they work with one producer or whatever, like they'll bring out a live band for their shows. And it's like a totally different interpretation of their songs. And they mess up, or the band messes up or whatever. And like, that's cool. Like, I want to see that, because it's like, oh, y'all are human. Y'all are just creating art for art's sake. Like, you're having fun. It's not like I'm perfect and I'm the first or whatever it is,
But this industry is not fun. Like, as you know, this industry is cold. This industry is savage. Like, I honestly think if artists had the choice of just creating the art and performing live, if that was all they had to do, I don't think there'd be
100%.
as big an issue, but unfortunately, like, I honestly think the system is so flawed. We all agree the system is flawed. So unfortunately, sometimes they have to fabricate a story. Unfortunately, they have to be like, oh, okay, how can I find a link between me and this cat so I can make a story out of it and push this song out? You know, some of the links you see, you're just like, this is
Cat?
flawed. Yeah, I just, you know, my cat's outside, thought of cat. But this is what I mean. It's just like random stories, and everything is a story. But it's like, okay, but I actually just want to hear music that makes me feel something, whether that's anger, whether I relate, whether I'm like, what the hell is that? Like, I want to feel, and I don't remember the last time I like felt. But then is the system allowing them to create that music that creates any feeling?
But this is what I was talking about with bands, is that, like, for example, like the elements of storytelling and everything you're talking about, right? So if music now is about storytelling, right? So why has it become this way? Because what happens is, again, music made in the studio, behind the scenes, polished track comes out. Now this track cannot just exist by itself, right? To be successful, it needs all of this embellishment and all of this storytelling or everything to be successful, to go somewhere, to exist in this like realm, the social media, whatever realm that we exist in, right? Because that's what we need as humans. We need stories, right? But what I'm saying about like bands is that kind of like, it's like, no, the story is you watching me make this music live right now as a band. That's the story. That's the music. No, it's you watching me play the guitar and watching him play the piano and me singing and you being immersed in that rather than having to be immersed in a story. It's the music. This is what I'm saying. Like, this is what we need. This is what can break that, where you don't need the story anymore. There's like, the music itself speaks for itself. The music is the thing, not the story. Yeah, the music is not just an element, it's the thing. And that's what I'm saying with bands, is that even if I'm not talking about, like, it doesn't just have to be an actual band. It can be like, for example, a pop singer who comes out with a band, the ID, and that's the thing. Watching that music come to life, watching her being perfect, ID singing, doing a random rendition, it shifts the focus back to looking at music. And I think this is like what we need to start focusing on, and from there it can just be a point to reframing how we see music, how we consume it. Slower, more deliberate collaboration, actually collaborating in real life, not just behind the scenes and then people getting the final product and consuming it. Yeah. I know it might seem radical and crazy, but it's not. It is what we need.
I don't think that's radical and crazy at all. Like, I think that's genuine. The other thing I would add to what you're saying, Minna, is when we're talking about how we consume the music and how we look at artists and how we look at the music, I say this in every single podcast episode, and I don't really care, because like this is what I'm staking my claim on. We need much better, much more consistent, and much more thoughtful music coverage and music journalism. And the issue now that happens is that, generally speaking, obviously, like, I think the two of you are huge exceptions to this. Generally speaking, journalists are just doing advertorial. Like, they're writing a very polished profile on an artist, helping them promote some sort of who knows what. Or they're just writing glowing reviews of music where privately we might be saying, what was this? What happened? You know what I mean? And like, if we continue to do that, and we continue as journalists to play dumb, frankly, or be so worried about offending an artist, or like, oh my gosh, my proximity to power is lost, whatever. Or in some cases, there are journalists who just want to be celebrities. So they're like, oh my God, here's a massive launch party in Guna, whatever. Like, that's just ridiculous. Like, stuff like that is ridiculous. Like, we have to, whenever we're talking to artists, we have to ask them tough questions. We have to poke at their imperfections. Like, the thing that I love, like, Minna, about your storytelling, whenever you interview an artist, I learn about the human. I don't, like, you rarely really, like, you'll ask them about the music, don't get me wrong, but like, I know them as human beings. I'm like, oh, I can relate to you on a whole other level now, because of, like, this little thing makes you tick as a human being. Like, that makes me tick too, or whatever. Like, that's the cool thing. And we don't have a lot of that anymore, right? Like, we don't have that on a consistent basis. We have just like press releases that get sent out, and the press releases are then uploaded to whatever BuzzFeed like media outlet that exists in the region. And like, that's it. And like, that's not helpful. That's just like, it needs to exist, and I understand that, but that can't be the only thing that exists. And the problem is that is the only thing that exists on a consistent basis, right? Like, we need to do better about that. We need to be open and honest about art and the music as an art form.
I agree. And I think that in the era of acceleration that we were in the era of first, in the era of breakthroughs, in the era of this, in the era of introducing awareness to these artists that we didn't know, we maybe for a while, we did need these interviews. We did need these kind of profiles. We needed them just so we can have almost like an archive or a database for what's happening to you know, we needed that for a minute, but we don't really need that as much anymore because خلاص, I know who he is. I've seen his music. خلاص, I know. What we need now is critique. We need to be critical. We need to actually look at things the way that they are. We need to stop lying. بجد يعني we need to stop being liars. We need to stop sensationalizing everything in a headline and putting music in such a way. We need to stop doing that. And you say I always focus on the human. يعني I could sit and do a technical musical breakdown of the whatever. I don't want to do that. I want to humanize the person because I feel we get lost. We don't know what's happening. We just get the final product. Here's the song. But I want to know you. Who are you? Why do you make music? Why is it important to you? What are you doing?
And why should we care?
What is it? Why do I care about you? يعني بالضبط, why do I care about you? Why are you important? What like tell me, يعني tell me your actual story. And that's what I always try to get. You know, I just want to dig into your subconscious mind. I want to know why you wake up in the morning and go to the studio and record a song and release it. Why are you in this? Can I trust you? You know what I mean? Do I trust that you actually love the music? It's always that for me. Do I trust that you actually care? And you know, some people shock me. I'm like, oh, you have no answers. That's weird. Why are you in this? You know what I mean? I'm not gonna name names, but في حاجات غريبة. There's some weird.
This is a podcast where we name names.
He's trying to get you in trouble. Don't follow his naughtiness.
No, but like a lot of like, I'm sorry, like yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna shit on the diaspora artist. I'm a diaspora girly myself, but there's just something about like Western identity politics and the way that we identify with music, you know, first Egyptian pop, whatever, first Palestinian to do this, whatever hyphenated identity made this song. Why is it about who you are as a whatever nationality? Why am I thinking about that before I'm thinking about the music? Why is that the first thing in the headline on the song? Yani, why am I consuming music like this?
Because in the West, they have to prove themselves. This is why when I read the thing, I was like, oh my God, it's so true. We don't need to prove ourselves. But then I think the diaspora artists are very guilty, not intentionally. It's not like I don't think they're trying to do this on purpose, but it's their
They can't help it.
Exactly. It's their USP in a place where they have to prove themselves. Like, I want to show some of my Arab side, but also I need to please you because obviously I have to be palatable to you. So I completely understand what you're saying. So when it comes to
perform your identity all the time,
yeah,
you always have to perform your identity to feel like you exist. To if the whiteness is at the center, we are always othered, and we actually are always othering ourselves by using these identifications. Like, you know, white people are not always like white artists did what because they don't need to prove anything. There's no like white artist.
Hold on, I'm gonna pause you real quick. I know you just got to Trump's America, but a lot of white artists are doing that, which is terrifying, and that's a whole other thing.
Are they actually? Is this new though? Is this new since
it's not new. I mean, these are like
you know what? Because they feel threatened now, because they feel like their whiteness is under threat. That's what it is. Then they're trying to be proud of it. I'm saying they themselves now feel othered. This is what I'm saying. There's an othering to having to always like perform your identity in this way, especially for music. It's very alienating to me. It just creates this weird like dynamic.
I mean, this is the other thing that, like, to me at least, it comes back to what we were talking about earlier about this incessant need to quote unquote go global, even though, again, like whenever we say go global, I'm going to just reemphasize the point. Everyone just means, oh, I want to make it big in the US and Canada. But we all know that Arabic music has gone global. We've gone global in Africa, in Southeast Asia. Like, we're doing pretty well, frankly, in Europe, honestly, in a lot of parts of Europe. Shout out to North Africa. There's this need to go global. And I think there's how do I put this nicely? I think there seems to be a disrespect with the idea of we should be successful locally, right? And like, I think about Bad Bunny's album right now.
I knew you
Obviously,
were going to say that.
I mean, obviously he's this massive global artist now, right? But he puts out an album that is so inherently Puerto Rican. And he himself says, I'm only going to perform in Puerto Rico. And like the first 30 shows are only going to be for Puerto Rican residents. Invests all this time into like the locality of everything. That doesn't stop the success of the album globally. That doesn't stop this album from being marketed and received as probably one of his better bodies of work. I would make the argument it's his best album. And yet when talking to some artists from the Middle East, North Africa, I sometimes get the sense from some folks of like, oh, well, I'm not going to talk to this regional outlet because that's just in the region. I'm only going to talk to Rolling Stone or Pitchfork or the New York Times or NPR or whatever. Or, oh, I'm not going to perform in Dubai or in Cairo or in Beirut. I'm going to go perform in Europe and I'm going to go perform in Canada. And it's like, that's cool. If like you want to do that, by all means do it. If you don't support what's happening locally, then we are growing aimlessly. And that's the issue that I have, is that we're just growing without reinvesting local, like pay it forward kind of,
That is the lasting impacts of colonization. Like, I don't want to get too political, but we will never see ourselves in the way we should. That's just really sad, because it's the same. Like, even when I go to Egypt, like, I can definitely see that it's like people don't value themselves as much as like the treatment you get if you know you're from abroad versus what you get. It's ridiculous. So it's sad,
I
but
mean,
yeah, go ahead, Minna.
let's be real, like, for a moment, and actually look at things in a maybe not super idealistic way. Let's look at it for real. Like, colonialism has left its like imprint here. We have in Egypt something called عقدة الخواجة. What's عقدة الخواجة? It means اللي هو you always think that the white man or the Western man is superior to you, and that they are, like, I'm not gonna lie, me being American has definitely given me a leg up in Egypt, 100%, and I understand the responsibility that comes with that. That's why I'm so focused on giving back, on using what I have, the privilege I have, to actually uplift here. That's why I live here, or in Cairo, yani. I always want to give back. I want to uplift here, and you know what I mean. But yes, عقدة الخواجة, and we have this like just like internalized like weak like self-confidence thing with our identity, where we just don't think we're enough. And let's be real, why do people chase going global? عشان our infrastructure or whatever that we have is not enough to give artists what they want. There's a cap, right? And so that's on us to build an infrastructure that makes them feel that they're satisfied being just in the region. They're satisfied with working with a regional label, and that can give them the same money as outside, as the West. That's why people want to go global. That's why people want that. They chase that. That now, what does that mean? That means, what do we need? We need the big artists who did go global to come back and just not then. Yani, there's something in life. You cannot just take. You must give back. That is the balance. You keep taking, you will fizzle out and die and be irrelevant. You must give back and pour back. This is the balance of life. So give back. Give back. You want to go global, you want to do your world tour, you have money, give back. Come back and support this industry. Put money in here. See who's doing what. Uplift the younger artists. You have a responsibility when you become successful. This is how we grow an industry. This is how we stop wanting to be the West. We can become the West here. We have it. يعني خلاص, this is that.
Like, that was literally the best thing that anyone's ever said.
I got to make a couple points real fast. If you're listening to this podcast and you're not watching it on YouTube, the way that Minna is shaking her, like wagging her finger, like pointing, I'm terrified. Like, I feel like I just got yelled at by my mom, bro. Like, that was, I appreciate that passion, but it was hilarious. It was just like, give back, you stupid artist. Like, it was just, but like, it's true. It's true. No. It's 100% true. And like the other things that I think about, honestly, are twofold. One, it's give back, and then give back and invest in the music scenes that don't have the attention, right? Like, give back to Tunisian artists, give back to Lebanese artists, give back to Iraqi artists, give back to, like, we need to invest collectively and have the entire region flourish. Like, we can't just focus on where the money is, right? Like that's just a thing. Number two, think about how many music outlets, podcasts like our own, frankly, music conferences. Think about how many resources there are in English.
Ah,
Yes,
oh,
yes.
speaking in English right now, huh?
Like
Literally.
even us, like honestly, even this podcast, like sorry, Dina, just real quick, like let's just be honest, like even our own podcast is in English. Like who like there are moments where I think about that, right? It's like, shouldn't this be in Arabic? Like, isn't this for our
Who
own
is
sort
this
of thing?
really for?
I know.
Who is this really for?
I hope someone starts. I'm sure there are many Arabic podcasts for music, but I'll be honest, like for me, I wouldn't probably be able to engage in the conversation. I can speak Egyptian Arabic. As soon as someone else speaks to me in like Saudi Arabic, I'm like, I have no idea what you're saying, dude. So I get it. I completely agree. There are a lot of outlets in English, and I'm like, we need more of these outlets in Arabic.
XP, man. Why the heck is XP in English? XP should be fully in Arabic. Like, if we're really about the people and about the artists in the region, about this and about the industry in the region, then do it in the native tongue. I don't like. It doesn't matter what dialect it's like.
Measured in the West. That's how we measure success. Like, I just want to say one thing before, like, I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you off, but like, do you know what makes me sad? The people that listen to your music and talk about you and recommend you to a friend and recommend your music. These are the people that are like supporting you, right? You're capable of selling out a huge venue in your hometown. I'm talking huge. I'm talking maybe what, like 10,000. But I've seen those very artists that can even talk 10, 20, 30,000 stadium, whatever. I've seen them come to Europe and take deceiving pictures to try and make people think that they've smashed it in Europe. And I know that venue. I've been to that venue. It's a 300 person capacity. Don't piss me off. Like, don't try and like, undermine like the knowledge, make us look stupid and be like, look guys, I've made it in Europe, when I know full well that that's a tiny stadium, like tiny arena, if anything. And that's a problem, a very big problem.
Or even just like when people are I mean, I'm going to use rappers because this happens more in rap. But like what they're rapping about, I'm like, I know what the money is. I know how much you're not making on streaming. You don't have 3 Ferraris. It's okay. Like, be real with what you got. Like, be real with what's going on. Like, I'd much rather hear that, because if I just want to hear about somebody rapping about nice cars, fancy whatever, believe me, there's a slew of artists in the United States that are already doing that, and they have the money or whatever. Like, that's fine. I want to know about what's happening with you specifically. What makes you authentic? Like this is why, like for me, when Marwan Musa put out his whole thing after his mom died, I was like, man, this is real. Like, you're going through it and you're willingly and vulnerably rapping about that. Like that, I'm like, that's why that project, I think, hit for a lot of people, right? Like, that's why I think back to your point, man, like bands are hitting for a lot of people, because people are like, dang, this is you. Like, you, even if you wanted to fake it, you can't. Like, you just can't. Yeah. Like, if you play a chord incorrectly, khalas, that chord is incorrect. Like, and it's live and it's there. You can't go back and be like, you know what, you know?
عادي. كفاية at this age of polished, beautiful editorials, everyone looking gorgeous online and being perfect. That's not كفاية بجد, because people are like, okay, يعني I can خلاص, give me something real كده, be real for a moment, be real. And that's why I think we're having, like, hip hop will never fade away, not in our lifetime كده كده. But what we've been seeing is so indie and pop coming back.
Yes,
this kind of more like sentimental, heartfelt thing. I'm telling you, things always change, right? It's cyclical, you know. And so we went from this flex thing, I have a watch, I have a car, I have all the whatever, to now being like a little more, okay, I feel things, I want you to feel these things with me. Are we feeling together? Yes, we're feeling together. Let's feel again, so we can recalibrate and know where we're going. Actually, we've been moving so quickly without really direction, and it's just been like, just for the sake of growth, just for the sake of making it. Khalas, look how many times khalas we're the fastest growing. We did it. Can we recollaborate? Can we like just take a moment and pause, get it, and feel and see where we're going and see what we need to do and see where the community is, see where the artists are, what do they need? Do the labels actually care? Are they investing properly in the art? Do they know what's going on? Do the A&Rs actually know what's going on? Are the A&Rs doing their job? Are they just, like, what is really happening? Are these big labels, these Western labels coming in? Do they know what happens in our local economies? Are they aware of what's actually happening? Are these people, do they know what's going on? Yeah.
Are they going to talk about Palestine? Are they going to talk about Sudan? Are they going to talk about Yemen? Are they going to talk about Lebanon? Like, pick your country.
Or are they just going to use it? Are they going to use Palestine and Sudan? Are they just going to use it for whatever sake? Yeah. Not authentically, just as to sell something, to commercialize it. Are we going to actually, I don't know, music itself It's supposed to be something pure. It's supposed to be something from the heart. It's supposed to be a form of expression. You know, when it gets entangled in the industry business, it loses something. But I feel like maybe we can't 100%, you know, save that core, but there must be something we can do to be a little bit closer to it and not to go too far away. And I hope we can do that. I don't know how, but it's just people, I think something in the heart. If you feel things with the heart, you know, I know that might be a little idealistic, but I don't know. I listen to music with my heart. I don't listen to music with my mind. This is an issue that we have. When I'm desensitized, I listen to music with my mind, but when I really feel it, I listen to it with my heart. And I feel like if everyone just stopped thinking about music as a tool and a way to get visibility and a way to move forward, and more about, does it hit? Does it, when I see a band playing live, and I see the relationship of an artist with their instrument and how they're playing it, how they're caressing it, and how that note bounces off the other note, I just got goosebumps thinking about it. This is what we're chasing. This is what we need. This is what we need more of. People to feel things. Argukum, حسوا. بجد. Like, we need this. This is, I don't know, guys.
Minna, I feel like we could talk to you. I feel like we could talk to you for hours.
I love you guys. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, honestly.
Thank you for being with us, honestly. Thank you for being the incredible writer and journalist that you are and setting the standard for all of us. If you're listening, please follow Minna on all her socials. Check out her incredible stuff on Young. And as always, if you have any complaints, message Gina. My inbox is closed. See y'all.